Hello there, tarot friends. Sorry, I'm a minute late. I was trying to jab my earrings in and lost track of time. I was just sitting here thinking about Sandra because I have this wooden and crystal pendant on that she sent me. And I've worn it before, but I've not worn it for a video before, I don't think, because I feel like I would have talked about it. And I showed this a few months ago. She's so sweet, and she sent me this necklace, which was a little treasure from Glastonbury last year, like last time that she went. And she also sent me a set of wooden witches runes. And those are made in cherry. And this is laburnum with a rose quartz crystal tip. So pretty light, like, natural rose quartz. And so, like, similar to my Scully that Jonathan made for me is rose quartz as well. So that's interesting because it's not always something I pick out for myself. But yeah, so these are just my little notes from the place, Glastonbury Mystical. So anyway, that's this necklace. And so I have a little jewelry dish. I have lots of jewelry, but I have a little one that stays on my table for now. And so I thought I would wear that today. And then I had my Kelly Bear earrings out. I wear these whether it's fall or not because ghosts are always a thing. Also, Ryan cut my hair on Saturday. You see this? It's crazy, right? Remember last time that happened? It was like, I don't know, last summer or something. But anyway, look at that. It was just feeling, sorry, let me take my sweater off here. It was just feeling like super like crunchy on the ends, like all dried and split ends. And we cut off a bit more than I was planning on, but I always tell him, like, I just make him do it. And he gets a little nervous because when he and I try to cut Max's hair, like, it does not go well. So we're back to just letting him grow it out because it's like super trauma hour when we do that. But anyway, he doesn't feel nervous when I'm having him cut my hair, but I just always go above and beyond to make sure he's not feeling nervous. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I've got lots of hair. Just cut off whatever. So I told him like 4 inches, but then it was like a little crooked. We tried to do it in the ponytail because we were like looking online. He wanted to do it a little different than he did last time. And I'm like, whatever you want. And then when we took it out of the ponytail, it was like all crazy. So then we cut it a little more. But anyway, it feels so nice now and healthy, and it should be growing pretty fast anyway. I like my hair all different lengths, so it's fine. I just wanted it to like feel nice, So anyway, those are some new updates. So let me go back around and say some quick hellos. Hello, Scott and Shauna. Hello. I did see Shauna a couple minutes before. I think she dipped out to go to A&W, and I was like, oh my gosh, pregnant lady wants A&W as well. That sounds amazing. Away from chat, so maybe she's still listening. So that sounds so good. I love like A&W root beer is so good. Diane, good morning. Jackie, I saw your name before, but as always, I feel like Jackie's always with me. This sounds like really weird, but then like I don't say hi to her until like way later. She knows about my problem. Anyway, it's like Jackie's like a given. Like she just always, and I say with me, but I mean, I know she's like in the chat. I'm probably making no sense at all. But anyway, sorry, Jackie, I'm not ignoring you. Ange is here. Hello. Oh, it was so funny yesterday in someone's chat. Gerald had Maria on last night, and Maria is one of my favorite people, by the way. So if you didn't catch that chat, you should check it out. But we were talking about Bianco Nero at one point. Maria was listing off the black and white decks that she has. And I was like, ooh, my wifey is in that deck. And Ange says, which card is it, Justice? And I said, yes. Oh. Anyway, so I was laughing at that. Ange called me out. I can't stick around, but wanted to pop on and show my love and support. Have a fantastic day. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Scott and Jackie, for letting me know about the notification. Olive is here. Hello, thank you for being here. Olive is someone that I met in Regina's live chats. Or she is here still working, but will be listening. That is just a lovely. Yesterday, I ordered Orshi's Zombie Oracle, which I've said before, zombie decks are just not my thing, but this one is very different in my opinion. It's not just like some gory, I don't mind gory, but it just doesn't do anything for me. Like I love scary, haunty movies, but not like gory horror flicks. Not because it scares me, but because it's like too over the top. It doesn't feel real to me. So I just don't vibe with it. But Orshi's zombie deck is like closer up, like it might look like part of a body, and it's like abstract, like art sort of feel, and the colors are really rich. Like I don't really know how to describe it super well, but it's not just like this sort of like what I'd call like a cheesy like zombie character deck. To me, what feels cheesy, do you know what I mean? So anyway, I was going to order it a few days ago, but then I also wanted, because the shipping is kind of crazy for Make Playing Cards. For me, I'm in the States, so usually shipping is great for me for most places, but Make Playing Cards, it's like $21. So I usually get, like Chris mentioned the other day, when I'm getting stuff off MPC, I grab 2 or 3 things to kind of make it worth it. And I've been wanting Zane's Oracle, which is called the Taupe Witch Oracle. And I couldn't figure out how to get back to search. Make Playing Cards is like really tricky to me. So I had Orshi's link, and so I go right to it. But unless you can go back out and access another link and it takes you back to your cart, which if you're signed in, it will do. So I had remembered that, but I just didn't have the patience. So anyway, I tried to order it a couple nights ago, and then I got really mad at the site and I signed out or I left the site. I wasn't signed in. And so anyway, yesterday during Gerald's live with Maria, I took off for like 10 minutes and ordered everything because Jamie and other people were being so nice and putting the links in. And I'm like, no, I know I have the links, but I just can't get it to all work together. But I finally did. So as most of you know, I have not purchased any decks, I think in like 6 months. I'm not really keeping track because it's really just about, we're just trying to kind of like gear up, save a little extra for when baby gets here, save for my new vehicle that I'm getting hopefully next month, and just kind of like keeping a tighter eye on budget stuff. So for my birthday though, which is Friday, I am giving myself some treats, which usually works out anyway, because in November, I get, like in October, we get a little bump at work, like usually 2%. And so my little raise comes in October. And then in November, I get a longevity payment that's a few $100. And so those things, because I like to stick to my budget. So those things are, I spend those ahead of time for my birthday usually. Not all of it by any means, but anyway, this is just my little exciting ramble about birthday treasures I bought for myself. So I got Orshi's Zombie Oracle, Zane's Taupe Witch Oracle, and I think I ordered the ones with like the fall tree on the back. That's the one I wanted, and I think that's what I got. But whatever, if it's a different one, it doesn't matter. Orshi's Zombie Oracle, Zane's Taupe Witch Oracle, and Julie Rose has a Spoopy Lenormand, which is like cute and spooky, right? Spoopy is a word that like the kids have created, and it's really super cute, and it's in the same style as her Storytale Lenormand, and I've wanted it for about 6 months. I went back to her walkthrough and saw when I commented it was 6 months ago, and that's right about when I went on my, not a hard freeze, but I'm like, I'm just going to hold off on stuff for a little bit. So anyway, 3 decks from 3 of our own tarot community creators. And so those are my 3 birthday gifts to myself. Plus I got the Halloween tarot, which Kelly Bear has been going through on her channel, Another one that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I finally decided to get that. That arrived yesterday, and we will open that on Friday, which is my birthday. So for Casual Friday Live, please come hang out. We'll open the Halloween tarot and have just a quick peek at that. And then you also get to see the rest of my room. So I came in here about 10 or 15 minutes early today, and I cleared off the top of the filing cabinet, which I've been talking about forever, and I never did it last week. So anyway, I did another little piece. And on Friday, no matter what it looks like, you all get to see. So, okay, let me keep going here. Yes, Jackie's always there for us. Thanks for listening to my ramble. I just had a few fun things to get out of the way. Yes, thank you for the links. Oh, hello, Deanne and friends, says Jamie. Yes, make playing cards as an asshole. So the thing is, oh, thank you, Scott, for the happy early birthday. Jamie has the OG with the wildflowers. Julie's Lenormand is adorable. Yes, they're so cute. I really love them a lot. So these are things, again, I've been thinking about for a long time and knew that I wanted. And I thought that would be a really cool birthday present. I'll get 3 decks made by friends, right? Plus the Halloween tarot. So I went a little bit over what I would normally do for my birthday spending, but that's okay. Cause again, everything's thought out with the longevity and stuff. So the longevity payment. Also, over the weekend when Ryan cut my hair, see, part of it's a little longer, but it's in the front. So sometimes it looks not really even, but it's fine. It feels good. That's what I care about. I'm low maintenance. So, what else was I going to say? Plus, I have some Kickstarters rolling in. And so that, we'll still have some new things to go through. But as you know, we've been focusing on what I have. I was going to say something else. Oh, over the weekend, along with a haircut, we also fine-tuned the budget again, which we just did 2 weeks ago, but we get little other information. And then I'm okay. I switched some stuff over to a personal loan this past week because I was going to get a better rate on it. And I hadn't done that in a couple of years. I'm you know what? It's fine to do that. Let's get rid of some of these little straggler things. Had a Best Buy card that had a couple grand left on it from when we got a new fridge, after we moved here, and just little stuff like that. I'm you know what? Let's knock those out and put it in this personal, a signature loan. And so that required a little tweaking, just stuff like that. My dance payments resume again. I started teaching again 2 weeks ago online. So just little things that are seasonal that we pop in and out of the budget. So anyway, I love working on the budget and picking out my birthday stuff. So anyway, the only other thing that I'm going to do is get a Halloween or Samhain pouch from Kelly Bear when she posts those. I know she's been working on them. I have to figure out when she's going to post those. So that'll be the last little piece of my present. But usually my mom and stepdad still give us, even though we're adults, they still give us 4 kids some birthday money. So I'm going to use that birthday money for a Kelly Bear pouch. And I think that's all the updates on my treasures. Good morning, Sue. Thanks for hanging out with us. So instead of shuffling these, let me find the cards that we're working with today. Some of them are a little sticky because, I've been coloring the backs very slowly. But the healer. Look, 3rd card. Okay. The healer and the comic, everyone's favorite card in this deck. Let me find our silly kitty. So I do have a little bit of my morning coffee left. I've already been very productive with my work stuff. I got the biggest filing out of the way first. So I'm going to say afternoon, but the rest of my day should be smooth sailing and I should get everything caught up. Let's have a sip for getting things caught up. Chris Kelly did send a little message and he's working in the office today. So he, so sweet, sent me a message and said he wouldn't be here popping in because he's actually in the office today instead of at home. So just wanted to let you all know. Every time I flip through, I get so excited about the cards we haven't done yet. Creator. We did that recently. That was fun. Oh, Kitty, where are you? So if you weren't around before and you don't know about the comic, it is the one card in this deck that throws people off and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want this deck. I don't know if I'm going to leave that card in the deck. Oh, here it is. Okay. It feels a little bit jarring, but when you read the description, you find out that that it's kind of supposed to do that. So, oh, my leg. Ooh, okay. It's fine. It's just, when you sit on your leg too long and then there's like, not a cramp, but it's just sore. Anyway, Samantha Menzo, if you watch her walkthrough of it, is so funny because her reaction to this card is she just bursts out laughing. Okay, so first off, we have the healer. I won't keep you in suspense. We'll show both cards. Here we have the healer. So we have snake symbolism coming back in like we've had sort of throughout. And then the little collage pieces. Looks like either like an eye or like some kind of like cosmic galaxy bursty thing, and then an eye for sure. And then a little green gem at the bottom. So that's what we're looking at here. And again, we have like circular or like an egg or a nest, like that kind of imagery going on again. We have a nest in the mother card. We have a snake and a moon in the queen card. So with this circular and snake imagery, I get that idea of like the mother and the queen cards, right? This potentially feminine energy, right? Whatever that means for you. That kind of thing going on. Really pretty like sunset colors in that. So the healer and the comic. So we have this cat that's like a cat with a cat mask on, right? It's like kind of creepy, kind of silly, kind of jarring. Like people have these different responses to it. And so this is the image that tends to throw people the most in this deck. I will say the idea of it is growing on me. Okay. So those are our cards for today. Jackie loves the comic, right? It's like this mix of, yeah. Oh, it's eyes, Scott says. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a sad clown. Do you know what I mean? Like that idea, but then there's this extra bit of weirdness thrown into it because of the cat, I think. I don't know. So let's start with our healer and see what it says. So for our extra words, the light worker, the gifted, the old soul. Our left margin, the image of the serpent is eternally tied to healing and medicine, both Western, the caduceus, and Eastern, kundalini. Study the serpent and its power. Our right margin says, the wounded healer is not someone who was wounded and is now healed. It is someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deep integration, right? It's this ongoing thing. It's not, I was wounded, no, I'm healed. It's that I continually work on the healing that I require. At a glance, it looks like a chocolate chip cookie in the center with a party hat on. Oh, yeah, it's really something. So, though some claim the work of the healer as their gift and name it as their dharma, the force of this archetype is within everyone. It is our natural inclination to remember, to return to, and to reclaim that central and eternal life force from which we so easily drift away. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting. It was hard for me not to say Ayurveda because I read some like Ayurvedic health stuff, or I did. I haven't read anything in a long time, but I digress. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting, and it is said that this is the source of all suffering and disease. So when I read that, I think about like getting away from yourself, right? There are times in your life, probably, where you have felt far away from yourself. And then there's this time, this return where you come back to yourself and you're like, oh, right, this is why everything's been messed up, right? One of those kind of things. The healer's mission then becomes to move through the comfort of forgetting, through the veils of ignorance and denial, to reveal the radiance that already exists. The healer approaches this in multiple ways, from multiple angles, knowing the cycle of healing is not linear. It is multi-layered, and it is a multi-layered and circuitous. Do you say the U sound when you say that? It's like circuit. But then you must say, or do you say circuitous? Circuitous. This is the point in the live stream where I say, I used to be an English major. I mean, I was twice. I have a master's in English Lit. Sometimes I don't know words because it's really not what Lit is about. But anyway, it is a multi-layered and circuitous process. I hope it's like that because that's how I like it. Oh, Sue said yes. Thank you. It seems like a lifetime ago that I was in class learning all the things. Anyway, always leading back to its own origin, much like the Ouroboros, which we've seen in other cards. When light, self-contained, grateful, awake, when dark, tired, needy, forgetting its own practice, and to go deeper. More words, here we go. Asclepius, Ear, and Danvantari. I don't know. Things I should obviously look into because I don't even know any of those things. Oh, thanks everyone for the for the confirmations. Circuitous, yeah. It needs that other syllable. Let's take a sip for school. Okay. Oh, coffee, please don't spill over. Okay. So then, the comic. The Joker, the Clown, the Fool. The comic has plenty of shade to throw on others, and it can fall into shadow at the drop of a hat. Beware of their sharp claws. Right? So do you know this person? Do you know this archetype in your life? Right? I love this book because you think one thing and it's there, but then she includes not just the light and shadow side of my opinion, but all of these facets of it. And she always says something that I'm like, oh yeah, I know that person and I understand why they fit into this, right? Joy, jokes, and smiles are signs of a happy heart. Be wary of spiritual practices or teachers who leave the comic by the wayside, right? So then this reminds me of people who are saying, oh, positive vibes, positive spirituality is, toxic. And I understand what they're saying when it's only that, or when that person or practice ignores the shadow, but it's not, a lot of times that's not all the person is, right? We had a sign on our door when I worked in the shop that said, blah, 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 welcome, some other stuff. And then, positive vibes only, positive vibe zone or something like that. And that's not to say that the psychic that I worked for, the clairvoyant that I worked for, doesn't do shadow work. She does. She teaches that. Like it's just don't bring your shitty attitude into the store. In so many words, right? Now, a lot of people come in there hurting and they come in for a tarot reading. So it's not about that. It just means like, don't be an ass, right? It's not It's not to say you can't have feelings in here, you can't cry in here, you can't come here when you're upset and then walk around and smell the sage and buy a crystal and then feel better. It's not about that. So I think a lot of people jump to this thing like, oh, it's this positive zone. And no one ever said this specifically about the store, but I always thought that when I got there and saw the sign, I'm like, I wonder if people think like we don't do the work here. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, off track, but this book makes me think a lot of things. So what this is saying, on the other hand, is joy, jokes, and smiles are signs of a happy heart, right? And this is something that I kind of need to remember. Like I take things pretty seriously, but I would say that I do, like I have fun with stuff and I laugh about things, but again, just something to think about. Right. I see Jamie saying, I know several people like that, right? The one example of falling into shadow, beware of their sharp claws, right? The comic has plenty of shade to throw on others, right? So it changes from being, you might be poking fun at someone, but then you go to like really making fun of someone and you think it's funny, but it's not funny to that person, right? Being considerate, right? The comic, when in balance, should be considerate and not be a bully, right? There's that line, and sometimes you can fall right over it. Regina's here. Hello. Oh, no need to be sorry. We're happy to have you here. Okay. Here we go. The comic carries a remedy for all that ails this world. Amid the deepest pain and suffering, there's always the potential to lift up and out of the darkness through laughter. Though dismissed by some as lowbrow or unsophisticated, this archetype actually has a highly advanced mind. Some may use the word genius, as humor requires one to see the situation from afar rather than to be swept away by the drama. And that makes me think of Robin Williams, and we just watched Aladdin this morning. And like, honestly, when the genie pops out, like it's hard for me. Like when I hear his voice, it's hard for me not to cry. It really is. The comic sees and accepts the messiness of life, using it as material to be mixed and shaped into a potion to soothe the stressed and serious mind. They literally lighten us up. Thus, within the comic is usually the sage or the magician, working healing magic upon any audience who will lend an ear. The comic may be the archetype that heals the deep division in our world, one pun at a time. So there you go. When light, hilarious, ingenious, spirited, and easygoing. When dark, sarcastic, harsh, brooding, drunk. To go deeper, images of laughing Buddha, stand-up, or improv comedy. So can you see how those lights and shadows are true, right? Yeah, I adore Robin Williams, says Scott. Yeah, he is really awesome. Really, really awesome. And we, many, especially just thinking about famous people who have died by suicide, how many times have people said they seemed so happy, they seemed so full of life, they seemed, positive and helping others, just the definition of that. And the flip side of that coin, right? When that person is alone or depressed or isolated or dark, do you know what I mean? Like that's the opposite side of that. That's why it goes so deep the other way, is because it's so high on the one end. The other side of that coin is as deep as the high side is high, right? Robin is a good example of you never know someone else's battles despite the face they present. Yeah. Oh, yes, Shauna, welcome back. Glad you got some A&W. I don't know if you heard me going on about it, but that sounds amazing. Okay, so there's our healer and our comic. If when we started this out, sometimes people would share. I also was telling more stories about people. Like I was talking about my mom and my dad and my mentor, things like that in the early stages of this. Since we've gone on a bit, I haven't been as specific, but I don't mind being as specific for some of these. The comic reminds me a little of my I have three brothers, but the brother who is just 3 years younger than me, that he's kind of coming to mind for some of those things. Yeah, so it's just good. You can share if you want to, but you don't have to. I think one of the things I love about this deck, we are not only supposed to think about how these archetypes are present or prevalent, which is just my little tagline I've been saying throughout this little series, is that not only external examples, but how do these archetypes play out in yourself, right? Because as she mentioned, as Kim Kranz mentions in the comic, or in the healer, right? We all have that. Some people claim that as their dharma and as their purpose, but really everyone has the healer in them, just like everyone has all of these archetypes within them, right? So think not only about external examples of these people, right? Your friend in high school, your music teacher, your neighbor, right? But also how those components and those aspects are present or prevalent or repressed in you, in yourself. Kind of makes sense. So if anyone has anything they want to share about that, that's fine, but we don't have to. Just want to give you things to think about. Diane says, I see some of our tarot tubers as the comics in our community. We know who they are. They always make me smile with their comments in the chat. Yes, that's a really great example. Yeah. He had Lewy body dementia that changed his personality and made life unbearable, unfortunately. But I think of his kindness and humor when I think of who he internally was. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it? It's, I want to say crazy, but I don't necessarily want to use that word. But it's stunning, or shocking or unsettling, all of the things, all of the different problems or ailments or things that people may deal with throughout their life, right? The different psychological aspects, the different psychosomatic aspects, all these different things that can alter us and make life really difficult, or like Scott said, unbearable, right? It's just really, it is a little overwhelming to think about all the things, like all the different possibilities of things that can happen to someone in their life, whether or not a label is put on it or not, or whether or not a diagnosis is put on it or not. It can be overwhelming at times. So I think the main point is just to, again, think about how these things occur, how these archetypes show up in your life, whether you think about yourself or other people, and then also remembering that we are complex and dynamic, whether positive or negative, and keep those things in mind when we are dealing with other people, for better or worse, right? So, yeah, and I like, again, that the comic and the healer are coming up together, right? Or in sequence, I should say. That the next few I had mentioned seem to kind of pair up really well. Of course, we can always compare the 2 or 3 that we're working with, but these two especially seem to feel really connected to me, healer and comic, and that those two archetypes can really help each other, right? To get back into balance one way or the other. Make sense? I think it does. Okay, so we are at 9:36. Let's look at what is coming next Tuesday. We might be able to do 3, but it just sort of depends. Let's see what we have left for the selves. That's the section we're working through right now. Makes sense, Scott says. Thank you. Unseen, the shadow, and the self. And then the 1. Oh, yeah. See, there's only... maybe we'll do 4. Because we have time. I babbled a lot in the beginning, and we still have 20 minutes. So, and those all kind of work well together. And of course, if you want to continue anything in the group, that's fine. If there's something you feel was kind of like undone. And then 2 weeks from Tuesday, we'll be into the places, which I think is really cool that it's included in this book. I love it. Diane says, I feel life is short, and if we can find something positive to concentrate on, do it. I am not sure how others feel, but I believe we can, that we can choose happy most of the time. That, I love how you phrase that, about leaving that open to other people's opinions. And I do think that a lot of the time, there are times when I am able to choose happy. Most of the time, I can be in a place to choose. I know some people with, I'm going to say clinical depression. Like, I feel like I've had episodic depression, like when, I don't know how long ago it was, 10 or 15 years ago, when I didn't have a job and I was like, I don't know, just could not find a job for the life of me. Just there are, for me, there have been phases. But for some people, it's this ongoing thing. Medicine, whether Western, alternative, Eastern, whatever, is required to get people, into a good place. So I do think that there's always a step that you can take to get back to that path, right? So even if it requires therapy, medication, some kind of somatic movement class, right? There are a lot of different therapies that can help us with that. So by and large, yes, I think we can get there. Now, some people don't have all of the resources and privilege to get to that place or get to that place easily, but I think it's possible, right? Usually with help, sometimes in a really dire situation, it's hard to make changes by yourself. If you don't have any kind of support or any kind of network, then it can be, I think, nearly impossible, right? I'm all about this gray space. There's a whole range of obstacles or rewards or options, right? But I do think that usually it's possible. Yes. Yeah. And Diane, I agree with you. I'm just trying to be I try to think about every single possibility. And I've been in the position where I've helped people who felt very desperate, or like there were no other options. It's a very tricky situation sometimes, but I do agree. I hope I don't sound like I don't. I do agree with it, but it's this very the scale of possibility is vast. Scott says, we cannot control our circumstances, but we can choose the way we respond to it. It is realizing that we have that choice that can become problematic. Yes, and that's true too. Yeah. And again, for me and my life, most of the time, and now it is, at this phase of my life, it is a choice. And I can stop. You right, practice the pause. I can stop. I can take a breath. I can listen to a song. I can dance around the living room a little bit. I can work on some choreography. I can come in my tarot room. Like I can say, okay, I need to stop my brain right now and choose, right? Like I'm lucky and I'm grateful and I'm blessed and, all of these things. So like for me, absolutely, it is a choice and I need to get up and get outside and get some fresh air or, whatever that might be. Jackie says, yes, happy is a good choice if you can. And again, still working on shadow stuff, right? Sometimes I feel all teary about something and I'll come in here and I will sit with that energy, right? Let me show you my grandma's little address things. I'll come in here and I'll get something of my grandmother's if I'm missing her. And I mean, I'm always missing her, but you know what I mean? If I'm in a moment. So this was from their first house. So this was not the address where I used to live with my grandma when I was little. But this was from their first house and she had it at her second house hanging up. So now this is one of the things that I took from my grandmother's apartment when she moved into the assisted living place. So yeah, this will be hanging up or propped up or something in here. And then I also have, this was the address where I lived with my mom and dad at my grandma's house. Yeah, Denby on my mom's side, like Denby dishes, right? You people in the UK know about that. And we have some because my cousin, probably 20 years ago, found out that Denby dishes were a thing. We saw them like at our mall. We're like, what? Denby dishes? So yeah, anyway. So I have like these little things in here. I have a lot of my grandmother's stuff in this room. Just one example of things that we can do, right? Sometimes getting to that happiness for me is sitting in the sadness. I love sad music. I want to sit in here and like listen to some sappy shit and just feel the things, right? Jamie had a comment I wanted to get back to. I wish mental health care was a right. Yes, me as well. My stomach is growling. Here we go. Oh, this jumps so much. Clicky click. Sorry, I have loud laptop. Jamie says, when my dad died in July on the heels of my BFF cousin's death, it was tough, but I just had to keep focusing on what was good in each day. Still not easy, but one foot in front of the other. Yeah, and that's a whole different kind. Like, there are all these things that can make us feel bad or sad or depressed or hopeless, right? There are so many things that can cause that. And I think that really plays a part in those options you have to get through it or work through it, right? When death is fresh like that, it's earth shattering, right? It's very different to other things, to just general feeling like blah, right? It's very different. It's sharp and focused, right? That grief, when Jamie said, she just had to focus, right? And I always feel like grief is such this focused thing. It's like all there is in that moment, right? Like a dagger. So the grief is very focused. And so it's interesting that that Jamie said she had to be focused, right, to get out of that. It's like, it's heavy stuff. But yes, those mind tricks, which really aren't tricks, it's just like, okay, I have to get this thing to the post office today. I have to do this. So I'm going to take my grief and sadness with me out into the car and we're going to go to the post office, right? It's like these like baby steps. And people deal with it different ways. I'm just kind of rambling through, a certain pathway, or, I have not lost a parent. When I lost I've not lost a child that was here. I lost a child that I was carrying for what I thought was 13 weeks. They had actually passed at about 10 weeks, 3 days, as an estimation. So I've lost a child in that way, but I feel like that grief is different than someone who has brought a child into the world and then loses that child. My point is, I've not lost any like nuclear like family like that. My grandmother, who I lost last New Year's Eve, that was the first grandparent that I've lost, because my mom's dad passed away when my mom was 18. He was 49 years old. So I never met either of my biological grandfathers. My dad's dad did pass away probably about 20 years ago, but they were estranged. I had never met him. I had talked to him a couple times on the phone when I was really little, when he was just calling to ask for my dad. They never reconciled. And so my dad wouldn't call him back or anything. So it's just, there are all of these different types of sadness, grief, depression that the comic and the healer might be able to help us with. So just so much to think about. And thank you all for sharing. Diane, with you all, life is a brighter place for me. Thank you so much. I honestly, I feel the same way, and you are welcome. And thank you for being you. Like sometimes I come in my tarot room and I'm like, wow, like, I keep them right next to me, my markers from Diane. Like, not that friendship is about gifts, but my point is I have YouTube friends, which I just never thought was a thing. And I feel so close to you all. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's weird that I can come in my room and there's like a thing, right? That's why I'm focused on the gift, because it's like, I don't know Diane in 3D, right? As my gamer friends would say. I'm not really that kind of gamer anymore, but like there's a thing here that Diane sent me, right? It's just interesting. And like this necklace that Sandra sent me that I'm wearing, like this is mind blowing to me. If you would have told me, like, because I found you all when Max was probably about 6 months old, like the summer that I was driving back and forth to work after my maternity leave with him. If you would have told me that I'd be like friends with people on YouTube, like that just wasn't even a thing in my brain. Point is, we are all very thankful for you as well. Oh, wow, that's awesome. I don't know what people are talking about. Oh, the address things. Yes, I love those. Like I'm a type of person that like I would have kept everything if I could. But those seemed very practical, like things that, not that I'm a practical person, I'm like, give me that, I'll keep it forever, even if I have to build onto my house. But things that I could hang up like in this room, you know what I mean? Just love them so much. Anyway, yes, I'm a material girl. Okay. I like the things, they have energy, and I'm not afraid to say it that I love things. Yeah, see, a butter churn, that's cool. I don't know why this is so funny. Diane says, cool, Scott, I love butter. I do too. Oh, I don't know why. That really gets me. I love it. Shauna says for her, it's pictures. Jackie says, I have pictures and jewelry and heart memories. Yes, that is beautiful. And songs. Okay. Do you all want to hear a crazy song talking about my grandma? Okay. Oh, thank you, Shauna. And that grief does get me sometimes. Like I won't, if you have seen my tarot tubers A to Z, which I did live, I have a full-on meltdown in there, and I decided to leave it because I'm like, whatever, this is who I am. So I was talking about like what my dream is, and somehow I got on to talking about like my dream is having, a happy, healthy family. And I just like lost, I don't know, we were talking about having another baby and it like came up, and then I was just like waterworks in the live. But yeah, sometimes like the other night I was getting Max ready for bed and I like walked out into the hallway while he was brushing his teeth or something. And like all of a sudden I just started crying about, and like usually I'm stressed out at bedtime routine. That's the thing I work on every day. I'm like, Deanne, like that whole stopping and like talking to yourself, like being angry, or I know you're tired, self, but like being angry and getting stressed out and like bitching about something is not going to help bedtime go any smoother. Like that's, if I'm putting that energy into it, that's the energy I'm going to get back. So stop being dumb and just like put a smile on your face. And sometimes you have to like fake it till you make it and like get through the thing. I'm like, oh, wow, buddy, that's so awesome. Like if I feel myself getting irritated, because kids are irritating, right? It's like they are slowed down and interested and in tune to like every little thing. And usually as adults, we are not. Now I try to bring myself down to a meditative pace and enjoy things. I'm like, wow, look at this beautiful tarot box and look at this. And I've talked about this and like making my coffee in the morning, right? Making that a ritual and enjoying what I'm doing instead of rushing around and heating up the creamer and doing this thing. It's like, that's how we're sort of conditioned. Point is, at bedtime, it's the hardest for me to do that, I think, or just other sporadic moments. Point of this is, sometimes I'm being like almost sarcastic, or I'm performing a little bit to get through it, just maybe for 5 or 6 seconds. And then I actually feel happy. It's these little micro responses for me. I'm like, oh, wow, you're doing a great job. We're doing so good at bedtime routine. Like, just say what you want to happen. Like, this is what I did with Max. And then I'm like, okay, look, no, we're done now and everything's fine. And then I don't feel shitty and I don't feel guilty for like snapping. There's my example for you. So if you can do that, please take that tip and use it. Oh, I hear him coming down. Scott says, I love this discussion and sharing and hearing the stories of others and how we can and do heal, but sitting in sadness is part of the human experience, but not choosing to stay there. Yep. Oh, yes, the energy behind the thing. Absolutely. Jackie says, I have lost my grandparents, my mom, my husband, but I am so grateful to have had them all in my life and try to remember the positive aspects. Yes. Regina sending love. There is a great deck that is awesome on the topic of loss. They are the Healing Grief card deck by David Kessler, and I got it specifically for when my mom passes. That is such a great idea. I'm glad something like that is out there. They let you experience the grief and then heal in a positive way, not run away from it. That's perfect. So when Jackie said songs, so my grandma, we called her Grandma Drinkums. Anything that had any alcohol in it was a drinkum, by the way. She wasn't like wasted all the time, right? I don't want to paint this picture, but she felt like there were things to celebrate all the time. She had a very rough childhood and she had a happy adulthood, except she lost her husband very young, right? He was 49. She was a little bit older than him, I think. So she was probably like 51 or something like that. I don't really know, but like 50-ish, right? So that was not a happy adulthood, but she was just very carefree, and I always think because of the difficult childhood that she had, right? So anyway, she liked to have a little drink, right? And her favorite song is There Stands the Glass. And it's a really kind of depressing song, but to her it was like a happy song. Or maybe like me, she enjoyed sad songs and that made her feel happy. You know what I mean, right? This catharsis that it brings. So anyway, she'd like hum it while she's washing dishes and stuff, right? This is not a song that you hear like out in public, right? We played it at her gravesite. Like we didn't have a service or anything. Just there were probably 10 or 12 of us in January. We went to the gravesite and we just stood around and told stories. And we played that song and we all had a drink and we put her last drink up on the casket with a little party umbrella in it. And while her song played, and then my brother, took her last drink. So the point of this is my mom was in Michael's, like a craft store, and There Stands the Glass came on, like their store, like their music CD or whatever. Hi, I'll be right out, okay? Oh, okay, good job. Okay, buddy. Excellent. Why do I have ghosties on my ear? They're my awesome earrings. You love them? Well, thank you. So anyway, this is just the last little bit here, but There Stands the Glass. It was a female singing it, and the original is a male. You'll have to look it up. This is your homework for today. So it was a remake, but my mom called my uncle and she's like, I just heard There Stands the Glass in Michael's. Like, this is crazy. This is not like a mainstream kind of thing. Like, have you ever heard that song? Do you even know it? Have you heard it in a store while you're shopping? Okay. Anyway, my mom was out just shopping by herself and she went to a place where she used to buy sweatshirts for my grandma with like holiday stuff on them and little sparklies. And so she went and walked around that store and looked at the holiday sweaters and was feeling sad because she couldn't get one for my grandma this year. And then she went to Michael's. Hi, honey, 1 minute, okay? I'll be right out. Shut the door so Fiona doesn't come in. So anyway, she left the sad sweatshirt store and then she went to Michael's and heard her song. Crazy. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for being here so much. Thank you, Jackie, for the link. Jackie has just linked that deck that Scott had mentioned. Thank you for sitting with me today and going through this. Or she says, thank you all for being so candid. Yes. Thank you all for sharing and chatting with me and working through these archetypes. Okay, you got to go back. No, you can't because there's no room now. I put another pillow here and I can't get you through. Plus you're bigger, okay? So you got to climb out, honey. I'm coming right out, okay? Okay. Thank you all so much. I will see you on Friday for a birthday casual, and I hope you all have an awesome week between now and then. Thank you again for being here and for sharing today. Love to you all.